Yo, 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 and welcome back to the Kelsey Witchno Show. My name is Kelsey. I am your host, and I'm an alcoholic, baby. Today, I'm going to be telling you about the next few days of me being in rehab in Palm Springs. This is going to be the first weekend that I spent in rehab. Starting off, I moved out of detox. Moving out of detox meant that I no longer had a TV in my bedroom, but there was a TV in the living room still. Other than that, everything else was set up exactly the same as the other room. I just moved down the hallway. Got a couple new roommates, but it's the same people that I'd been hanging out in the smoking area with anyway, so it was no difference. I was literally just sleeping in a different bed. I have a journal entry that I'm going to read. Also, I have notes from group that I'm going to read as well. Let's start out with the group note. This isn't the first group that I went to, but it's the first group that I had my notebook so I could take notes in. And it was on triggers. It always starts off with the trigger, and the trigger leads to a craving, and the craving then leads to the behavior. Step one is you recognize that it's happening and you name it. When you're threatened, you're in fight or flight. So being able to name what's happening kind of takes you out of that fight or flight situation. Your prefrontal cortex goes offline and we act solely on our emotions. An overwhelming feeling of emotions can feel like being threatened because we don't know how to deal with it. Step two is to take space appropriately, take time to regulate, not isolation, which is very important because a lot of the time I want to isolate when I'm trying to regulate, and that's not always the best option. It is sometimes, but not always. Step three is state shifting, not ignoring how we feel, but looking at the whole picture. Breathing, doing either 5, 7, 8, which is breathe in for 5, hold for 7 seconds, and then breathe out for 8 seconds. Or you could do box breathing, which you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold it for 4 seconds, and then you just keep going. To help with state shifting, you could exercise. Sounds terrible to me, but if that's something that you're into, then great. Using sounds, so like singing or humming or talking it out, love to do that. Journaling, I need to get back into that. I'm not doing it very much, but I really was when I was in rehab. Finding ways to release emotions, positive coping statements, connecting to your why, and self-reflection or inquiry. Those are my notes from group. Here's my journal entry from Saturday. Okay, first group was about triggers, obviously. It was my first group with Taylor, who was one of the therapists there. She was my favorite therapist. She wasn't the one that I was assigned to, but she was one that I talked to a lot. And I really, really liked her. That first group on trigger craving behavior, that was with Taylor. Continuing with that, the triggers a craving, which is like, oh my gosh, I want it. And that leads to the behavior. So if you can stop it at the trigger, then you won't follow through with the behavior of continuing to drink or whatever. The second group that I was in that day was about forgiveness. I kind of struggled with that group. I feel like I will have a hard time forgiving myself for all the things I neglected and the people I've hurt during my addiction, myself included. But it is something I will continue to work on and hopefully be able to do that eventually. That's a really good insight to kind of where my headspace was during this time while I was in rehab. The last group we had someone come from Smart Recovery. It's kind of like AA without the faith side. I'm a little interested, but I'm not really sure how I feel about it quite yet. Spoiler alert, never looked into Smart Recovery, will never look into Smart Recovery. It is what it is. Next journal entry point. I'm currently sitting out by the pool watching two dudes that I was in rehab with play ping pong. It's like a vacation, LOL. I sure do miss my family though. I'm hoping I'll be able to go on the outing tomorrow. They're going bowling. Just wait till we get to the outing experience that I went on. I moved rooms yesterday from room 5 to room 8, which sucks because now I don't have a TV in my room. But that's okay because I actually slept really well last night. Although my dreams have been really weird, I'm taking a pill for my anxiety, Effexor, like usual, and Trazodone for sleep. My sinuses have been bad, so I'm taking Zyrtec in the morning and Benadryl at night. They seem to be working. Then we get to my journal entry for Sunday. Sunday was the day that I went to equine therapy. Here's how my journal entry starts. Went to equine therapy with horses. Was not my cup of tea. So I'm going to go off my journal entry and just tell you about my experience at equine therapy. Okay. It's my first outing that I get to go on. I'm so excited. I wasn't really into the horses, but I literally hadn't left at all. So I decided to go. We pull up, we go on these golf carts back to the horse stables where all the horses are. We all sit around in the lawn chairs or the picnic tables, and the lady starts telling us about the horses, how long she'd been doing all of this, yada, yada. She asked us to tell her about what our addictions were and a little bit about ourselves, whatever. Everybody I was in rehab with was in there for alcohol. Some were there for alcohol and other things, but the major for everybody was alcohol. So we all went around and talked about that. Okay, well, let me go introduce you to the horses. Mind you, from the last episode, I don't have any good footwear to wear. I do have my Crocs on, 4-wheel drive. What if I get stepped on, Like, that's not something that I'm into. But I'm just walking on the outsides of the stables. Everybody else was going in and putting the ropes or the harness on the horses. I just was standing on the outside. And the lady said, "Oh, you can go in." I said, "No, I'm good. I'll just stay out here." We get done with that. Everybody leads their horse into the arena. We went back and sat down, and the lady told us to just kind of observe the horses, see how they were interacting with each other, see if they were playing alone, and then we just kind of talked about them. Then she releases us to now go into the pen with the horses. Before we go in, she tells us, don't approach a horse. Just go in there and stand, and a horse will come up to you. The horse will have chosen you, and that'll be what it is. We get released to go into the pen. I'm standing there waiting for a horse to come up to me. I forgot to mention there was 2 donkeys that were also in the arena that kind of helped to herd the horses. One of the donkeys' names was Earl, and that was the creature that approached me. Not a horse like it was supposed to, but the donkey. Okay, cool. I came to equine therapy, but I'm getting donkey therapy. I said, "Earl, you weren't the one that was supposed to come up to me, dude. It was supposed to be one of the horses." I have this whole conversation with Earl, and then the lady comes over. "Oh, are you resonating with Earl?" Well, Earl seems to be resonating with me, so we're just kind of vibing here. She was trying to lead me over to one of the horses, and I was like, "Ma'am, I'm just really not into being around things that could step on me and crush me. So I'm good. Let me chill. Let me do my thing." Who knows what she was thinking about me, but who cares? I go over to one of the horses, and I was like petting it, and I brushed it, whatever. Then we go and sit back down in the seating area. We're talking about our experience with the horses, what horse came up to us, who resonated with us. She made every single person share. You couldn't just, pass. No, you had to share. So it got to me, and I said, well, I can't really say I resonated with a horse considering none of the horses came up to me, but I did resonate with Earl. So whatever that means in equine therapy, that's your girl. I resonate with the donkey. We all talked about our experience. I was so uncomfortable, and I had the hardest time taking equine therapy seriously because a donkey is an ass. That's what resonated with me. This is a joke. I am a fool. I am a donkey. I am a jackass. I cannot take this any less seriously. The next activity, they set up these logs in the shape of a person. They made a stick person with logs, right? We had to talk about where we felt our bodies needed the most healing. Then we were supposed to take this bucket of food and go put it in the area of where we needed healing. One at a time, we're supposed to go do this, and then we pick the horse that we resonated the most with, and we lead the horse over to the food. They eat the food, and then we decide the horse is done. We have to get the horse away from the food without touching it. Okay, obviously I don't volunteer to go first. Somebody else goes first. They got these sticks, and they could hit the horse away from the food. They could do various other things, but they couldn't touch it with their hands or pull it. I had pretty much decided I will absolutely not be doing this. She can't force me. She's not going to pick me up, put me in the arena. She's not going to do all that. I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to go when it gets to my turn. So I just refuse to raise my hand or volunteer to go next. And then it gets down to 2 people, me and one other kid. She calls on the other kid and he's like, nah, I'm good. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for doing that, because I didn't want to have to be the only one that didn't go. And it made me feel so much better that he said, nah, I'm not doing that. She really was trying to convince him. He was like, no. She got to me. No, I'm also good. Won't be going. But she didn't hassle me as much because she already hassled the dude before me. Then she got to me and she was like, not gonna fight it. Little does she know, if she would have tried just a little bit, I would have gave in and I would have pooped my pants. Probably. Every other week they would do equine therapy on Sundays. And I had decided, nope, I will not be going to equine therapy ever again. You can miss me with that. I don't want to be around horses. I like to look at horses from afar, but I don't need to therapize with them. No, thank you. Lesson learned. Won't be going again, but it was a great experience. I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that I know it's not for me. Let's read the journal entry from Sunday. Now that I've filled you in on equine therapy from what I remember. Went to equine therapy with horses. Was not my cup of tea. Not is in capital letters. They said to just stand and a horse would come up to you, but the only animal that did was a donkey. So that was dumb. Definitely won't be doing that again. Then everyone else went bowling, but I stayed back to put my clothes away and have some peace and quiet. They catered in Red Robin, which was delicious. I was able to talk to Edward. Today was a pretty chill day. Edward is looking into flights for December 17th, so hopefully they aren't too expensive and I can be home right before Christmas. The coolest thing about being in Palm Springs at the end of November, early December, is that the weather there was so nice. So we just sat outside all day by the pool and hung out because it was like 70 degrees. It was amazing. Not that I want to go back, but the weather there was really, really nice. That was definitely a perk. That's all I have for this episode. Make sure you follow me on social medias at kwitchno on TikTok, Instagram, and on X. Make sure you give me a follow. I hope you guys all have a happy holidays. Thank you for listening. Please come back. Welcome back. You can come back whenever you want.